Andrew, always a pleasure to catch up with you, and always a pleasure when we can confirm at this point that despite some rumours and fans' worry, you're back with the Cardiff Devils.
Yeah, it's amazing for a seventh season, I believe. I can't believe it. It's flown by. I did think when we were lifting that trophy in Nottingham there that maybe that was the farewell skate, or I guess walk, but I'm back. I'm excited about it. I think we're gonna have a great team again, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this season.
I don't want to delve too much into your sort of hockey business, but after the success you've had in Cardiff and the success you've had in this league, are you finding that there's increased interest in you as a coach?
A little bit. I probably would want a bit more, obviously, at some higher levels, but obviously there's tons of good coaches, and our league is a little lower on the pecking order. I think fortunately, and the exciting thing is that it's starting to get recognized now. When I talk to coaches and contacts, they definitely know more about it. They definitely respect it a lot more. I think the GB thing has been huge as well. I mean, if you look at how much the league's improved in these years, it's just unbelievable, the change in resume and the quality of player. And I think that's exciting. I think that's exciting for myself. I think going forward, it'll just be a tough decision whether the drive to see what I can do at higher levels outweighs staying in an unbelievable spot. With great ownership, great employees. I feel so fortunate to have been a part of this team thus far, and I'm also really excited about this upcoming season.
I just want to take you back, if I may, to that night in Coventry on the last night of the season, because you are a supremely talented coach, a supremely successful coach, but I suppose there's that old adage that sometimes you learn more in adversity than you do in success. Even though you have been at the helm now for 5 years, did you learn a little bit about yourself as a coach on that night and the following days following Coventry?
I think I probably learned more as a coach this season than I ever have by a ton. It felt like about 5 seasons. We had a ton of adversity, from players leaving to advancing to Ben Blood to a better league, all sorts of things. Just the kitchen sink was thrown at us this season, and I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish. Am I obviously devastated by how it ended in the league play? Absolutely. I think to lose in a tiebreak is just absolutely sickening. It's still, I probably have not thought about it too much in the last few weeks, so this interview's bringing it all back up again. But learned a ton. I think that night learned some things, but at the same time, I thought Coventry played a great game. I thought their goaltender stood on his head. I thought we hit 3 or 4 posts. We're talking about one shot to just break that tie break. I think I learned much more, through the course of the season in a bunch of different scenarios, and all those things. You have to apply going forward. You have to keep taking those lessons. I think, if I continue to coach long term, I would imagine in 25 years, if I'm lucky enough to be coaching still, I'd probably be learning then as well. So it's a process that's ever evolving, and it's a tough job. Let's put it that way.
You and I have talked a number of times over the years about expectation and expectation growing in Cardiff, and that can only be a good thing. Was it hard to marry that sometimes last year with maybe because things were so difficult? It looked like for the first time the ship was deviating off course. There were some fans' views that came in, but inside the room, when you're facing those challenges, when you come out and win a playoff trophy, I wonder whether it might have been your most rewarding season.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the playoff trophy, winning that was, the feeling, if you look back, I was pretty emotional. It all kind of hit me then. It was a wave, from coming back after, just a devastating way to lose the league, to then clawing out that win, to also thinking, maybe it was, my last game to be a part of this, this amazing ride. It was a lot going on. What was the first part of the question?
I can't remember myself. No, just in terms of the expectation
Yeah, the
in Cardiff,
expectation.
which
Excuse
you
me.
and Todd
Sorry.
have created, which
Yeah.
is so important.
Yeah.
Did that maybe play
Yeah.
against you at some times
Yeah,
last year?
we haven't done this in a while, John. It's
Been a
been
while.
about a year off, so it's good to be back at it. But the expectation, it's wild now. It's through the roof. It's unbelievable. I think at times has it affected individual players or even the team? Probably a little bit. I think that's human nature. It happens. I think have we gotten a lot better at dealing with that? Absolutely. If you look at how much we've won the last number of years, I mean, even last year, I mean, the two teams, I can't even tell you how far ahead we were. It was, you don't see that too often. Two teams just going at it back and forth, back and forth. I thought it was just a heck of a regular season between the two teams. I thought for the most part we handled it very well. I mean, we had very, very few losses. Our winning percentage was through the roof. I think when it just under such a microscope now, if any little thing goes wrong or we're not up 3-0 after the first period of a home game, it's a poor night. That's the reality of it now. I think we're all deep down really proud of that because we've built that. But yeah, it makes it challenging because you literally have to be perfect every game now as a Cardiff Devil. Otherwise, you're getting scrutinized.
And does that shape your recruitment? Now we know there's a core group of guys who come back and they provide the heartbeat, the lifeblood of this team. The Elite League isn't the NHL, but when you talk about that microscope here in Cardiff, when you're looking for guys who might be new to this locker room, is it got to be sort of maybe veteran guys with broad shoulders who have proved themselves elsewhere? Does that come into your recruiting?
Definitely to a point. I don't know if it's necessarily a veteran guy. I think that will always tip the scales a little bit. Maybe a guy that's been through the pressure before. I think guys that just love the game, that want to play hard every single night, that want to get better every day. Those are the kind of guys we want around here. Those are the guys that make me want to come to the rink every day, and that's why I basically put my entire life towards this, is for guys like that, and those are the guys we want. And we've been very lucky. Those are. We've had so many of those guys come through here. I think, again, just dumbing it down to a game at a time, as cliche as that is, and how sick everyone is of hearing me say that, that really is, the best medicine for it, is just the next game, focusing on that, and, whatever happens that game, then being able to move on, take those lessons and apply it to the next one. And it's very easy to say. It's a lot harder to do. But yeah, I think for the most part we really do love the pressure. I know I do. I definitely, to be in the title race 5 consecutive seasons now, it's very, very incredible. I think it's also, when you think about it, it's just so much different than every other trophy in all of pro hockey. And that's a little bit of a hurdle when you talk to other coaches and agents and people from other leagues. They don't really understand that, and they say, well, wouldn't it be fun to have a playoff series and all that? I agree with that. I think it would be fun to go against Belfast in a best of 5 or a best of 7. Keith and I would probably kill each other, but it'd be fun. It'd be unbelievable. But at the same time, when you think about 56 games, I think it is this season, 60 last season, to have to go at that every day for 8 or 9 months with travel, with midweek games. It's not football where there's 1 game or 2 a week. Sometimes there's 3 or 4, and it's the expectations are there, but we definitely love it.
Just as a follow-up to that, and I hope you don't mind me asking, I know that you're an emotional guy, but you're a controlled emotional guy. Sitting in the cheap seats last year, it seemed to me that you were more vocal, more emotional on the bench than I've seen you before. Was that deliberate? Was that constructive to get the guys going? Was that just the nature of the season that it was? Would that be fair comment that you were a little bit more visibly emotional last year?
Yeah, I think I definitely, obviously up until a year and a half ago, I was a player coach, which is also a weird one, but it's changed now. This past season was basically my second almost full year of coaching on the bench, and I want to coach. I want to I want to make people better. That's what makes me want to coach. I want to win. I want the trophies, but what really turns me on, so to speak, is trying to bring the best out of people, and that's all I'm trying to do. With an older team, with a team that's won as much as we've won, back to human nature, complacency. I don't like that word because it sounds like they don't care, but they do care. It's just human nature. When things are going great, you're going to back off 5%. Unfortunately, in this league now, it's just so good. There's so many good teams. There's no off night or no easy nights, and you need to try to bring your best out of players every night. And yeah, that's probably all I was doing. I don't think I was. There's ups and downs throughout the season. I wouldn't say I was imploding or anything like that. I don't think Sure, there's probably nights where I was frustrated, but I've probably had that for a lot of years now. I think I definitely, if you ask the guys back in the day that started with me, I was definitely a lot more hot-headed and into it back then than I am now.
You mentioned their coaching and your passion of making people better. Again, just, and correct me if I'm wrong, but watching on as a fan this year, when Sam Duggan joined, you seemed to be having a lot of conversations with him, a lot of conversations on the bench. It seemed like you were investing in him as a project. His minutes increased. He was playing third line hockey at the end of the season with a veteran Lane Ulmer. That must have been something that you could really get your teeth into.
Oh, it was incredible. It was again, when I touched on why I come to the rink, that kid is why I come to the rink. I love that. He comes in and he just loves the game. He wants to get better every day. He works so hard. I mean, he was playing junior hockey, not even 12 months ago. The amount he's improved is just something else. The amount he's going to improve this summer and into next year, I'm really excited for that. I think he is going to be something special for this organization. I think he has a chance to be a remembered British player in this league. I also think he has a real opportunity to potentially move on to better leagues down the road. Not to put too much on him, but I think he's had a great start. And I mean, hats off to his family. I think his brothers, his dad, his mom. Whatever they did, I hope someday when I have kids, I can do that to them, because he's a standout on and off the ice.
How do you continue to evolve, Andrew, as a coach? And I know I've asked you this before, but you've been a coach in this league for 5 years. You can tweak things, but I guess certain systems are the same and certain tendencies are the same. I know you've been in Slovakia recently, and there were some coaching seminars over there. Do you always look to come back with something a little different, a little bit of a different look that other teams might not be expecting?
Yeah, I think other than Dudium now, I'm the longest tenured coach with a team in this
Second
league.
longest in Devils history, I believe.
Second longest. Wow, that's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think, I think every coach works hard in the off season. Just as a player, you expect your players to come back better. I need to come back better, and it's hard because I think, it's probably like that in the real world too. Just information's shared so much better and more efficiently now. I mean, online and even on Twitter, you can find stuff about coaching, about systems, and even 5-10 years ago that wasn't around as much. So I guess things are getting watered down a bit, in the sense that you come up with a new idea or you see something good, chances are other people are going to see that as well. Yeah, definitely try to come back better each year. At the same time, I think there's no substitute for work ethic, improving every day and being a great team as one.
I've asked all the players about the race with Belfast last year, so I'll ask you. You touched upon Adam Keefe there. I'm sure great respect. He was a big player in this league. Is he a fun guy to go up against? And I suppose the two of you so passionate and not dissimilar players on the ice. I grudging respect, mutual respect. What's the deal with the top guy over in Belfast?
Yeah, tons of respect for him. I'm sure we've had our moments where we hate each other, absolutely, but out of respect. And it's funny when when you play against guys that play that hard, you end up probably in a weird way liking him the most. And I think you could probably say that about the coaching aspect too. I know he works very hard. I think he's well drilled. I thought they were a heck of a hockey team this year, and I thought our games against them were incredible. I thought it was a great testament for the league. Yeah, he even sent me a really classy email after they won the league. So it was nice. At the same time, it was rubbing it in a bit. But no, lots of respect. I think they have an incredible organization over there, and I'd imagine this year will be another tough one.
I'm always sensitive to ask you about recruitment because I know, rightly so, you like to keep it in-house. The one question I will respectfully ask, are you making contingency plans to look for a netminder?
Yeah, Ben Bounds, he's been we've been very happy for him, but it's also driving us nuts in a way when you're trying to piece a team together. It'd be one thing if he was just an import goalie that was really good that, you think you're going to lose, but when it's a Brit and it's just this weird situation where if he does go, we'll be so happy for him, and I think he'll do great wherever he does if he was to go. But at the same time, the way that changes the puzzle. There's a lot of moving parts when you're trying to build a team, and when it's not late yet, but it's starting to get there, and it's a tricky one for sure. But I loved seeing him how he performed in the Worlds. I thought he was incredible. I thought the whole team played great. I thought they were well coached and everything, but he really stood on his head, and it'll be interesting to see what he gets out of it.
Your time is valuable. I don't want to keep you too long. I'm going to return to an old chestnut, only because this seems to come up in Cardiff a lot about speed versus power gain. I'm intrigued watching the St. Louis Blues at the moment in the Stanley Cup. They almost seem to be marrying the two, a little bit of a throwback. They're fast, but they're getting on heavy in the forecheck as well. Do you think the NHL might be returning to that? Do you think that's something we'll see in the UK? Is that your ideal sort of balance of a heavy team that can play on the forecheck?
If I could sign 20 guys that were 6'2" that could skate like the wind, I would. But the reality is, at this level, it's very, very, probably impossible to do, really. You need your skill guys, you need your speedsters, you need your workers, you need your toughness. I think losing Justin Farina, early days was unfortunate for us. I think that was a bit of a piece. I think Ben Blood was probably the bigger piece, to be honest. I mean, he had played however many games it was for us, and he was, I'd say he was the best shutdown D-man in the league. And people forget that. I mean, he was physical, he was in your face, played hard every night, great stick detail, great PK guy. I was really excited to see him get to Finland. I thought that was so cool. I'd bet maybe someday he ends up coming back here just because of how much he loved it. But I think people forget a little bit about losing a guy like that, what an impact it has on the overall look of the team. But yeah, I think, I want guys that play hard, that play physical. Again, it can't be, you just can't get a guy in now that'll fight and that's it. It's not going to happen. I mean, I'd say Mark Lewis was the toughest guy in the league last year, and he had 4 fights. So fighting's going away. I think as far as physical on the forecheck, I think that'll always be a part of, hockey. I think it is dwindling a bit. What I took from seeing the World Championships was the speed was unbelievable throughout every team. I mean, even the GB guys were flying. I mean, seeing the pace that some of those guys played at in the Worlds was phenomenal. It was definitely the fastest I've seen some of those guys play, and I think speed is at the forefront. But yeah, I definitely think there's something to be said about heavy hockey as well.
Andrew, you know me, I always say last question, I think of 4 more. Just in terms of that, what you were talking about, recruitment, you got a great one in the end in Schistel, but was the market tough last year, particularly for defensemen? Because there seemed to be a big gap when Blood went and finding the right guy to come in, and has that freed up a little bit in the off-season for you?
The market in the summer is usually pretty good. The big one in the summer is, do you take a guy early, or are you then, if you take him early, are you then missing out on a gem that comes late? You think of Belfast grabbing Dwyer and Bond. I would argue that changed their season. I think their goalie was out of this world. I thought Murphy and those guys were great too, but those 2 pickups a little bit later were incredible. Those guys you don't always find guys like that. As far as then in the season, very tricky, very tricky. Usually there's a little bit maybe early in September, maybe then also at the deadline. When Ben left, I think it was November,
Yep.
December. Pretty bare. I thought picking up Schistel and Mosley was unbelievable, really. I thought it saved our year. I thought both guys were great for us overall. Again, it changed the dynamic of our team quite a bit, but I thought they came in and performed admirably and really helped us out.
These are the last couple, I promise. Just in terms of what's going on around the league at the moment, I don't know whether you're keeping tabs or not. First one I want to ask you about, ex-teammate, ex-player Guy Doucette going in at Nottingham. That's a guy who could still put up 30 goals a year, but did you see that role coming, and what do you think Guy will bring to that role?
Yeah, I'm not all that happy about it because I think he's going to do a heck of a job. I mean, he was, working with us fairly closely for a number of years, even helping me a little bit. And so that might come back to bite us a bit now. But great guy. I mean, can't speak highly enough about him. I thought he was phenomenal for us. Good friend. He's just a good person on and off the ice. And I think he's going to help them a lot. I think Tim Wallace is a good hire as well. I think, Zach Fitzgerald is another good hire. They all, I think they're all going to work very hard. I think they bring probably connections from their AHL, NHL days. The league's getting good now. It's the work is getting tougher and tougher every year. And, I think the interesting thing about going younger is, as coaches, I think there's something to maybe be said about that. The way the game's changed in the last 10 years, if you're playing within this last 10 years, you probably have a leg up as opposed to, say, an older coach that, maybe was, stuck in their ways a little bit, or however you want to call it. These guys would have played for some very good coaches, I'd imagine, and I think they'll be good at what they do, and yeah, it's gonna make for a lot of work and a really good season, I think.
The last one, just in terms of going on around the league, we can't forget the old enemy, Sheffield, a downturn last year, but they'll come again. They're a great organisation. They seem to have gone all in on Aaron Fox, and he's someone who you may have had sort of brief dealings with when Zagreb came over a few years ago. What was your read into that?
Yeah, another funny one, just from the sense that they came over with Zagreb, and we had a whole week where we, went out and, played some golf together, got to know each other a bit, him and Gordy Dwyer and those guys, and they helped us a lot back then. I was still pretty raw as a coach a couple of years back, and, now it's come full circle where, he's in Sheffield. Looks like he's doing a great job with what they've signed so far. I'd imagine his recruiting is going to be very good. I'd imagine, same thing. He's got some really good coaching ideas, and it's going to be another tough one. I think it's exciting. I think the league just is flying right now, and I just really hope the recognition gets out there a bit more, throughout Europe, because I think it's deserved at this point.
And even though there was the contemplation that maybe you wouldn't be in Cardiff this year, you're back. The hunger's still the same old Andrew Lord?
Yeah, that'll never change. Love to win. Love coming to the rink. Love the game more than anything. It's such a good game, and you see our fans get wrapped up in it. You see fans all around the league get wrapped up in it. It's really special, and thankful for the ownership group we have. Thankful for having Todd Kelman at the helm. Thankful for the group of guys we have here, and I'm very excited to be back and looking forward to getting after it.
Andrew, I've kept you longer than I should, but I always enjoy talking to you. Speaking personally, it's an absolute pleasure to see you back in Cardiff. Welcome back to the Devils.
Thanks, John.